Good afternoon. We're on the record in the Gillespie matter, case number D588613. Your name, sir?
Larry Charles Gillespie.
Thank you. Your name, please?
Rena Gillespie.
Okay. While you're standing, can you have you sworn in, please? Raise your right hand. Thank you.
You and each of you do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is the time set for your trial on financials. I received one pretrial memo from Mr. Gillespie indicating that the only pending issue, since custody had been resolved, were the defendant's student loans.
Yeah.
When we were last in court, I had ordered the defendant to produce the loan information prior to today's hearing and to file an opposition to the plaintiff's motion, and I haven't received either of those.
I filed the financial, and
You filed a financial disclosure form?
yeah,
Okay.
and it came out to like 22,000 left on the loan. I guess they dismissed the other loans, and it's just a private loan now and it came up to like 22,000.
Okay, so you weren't going to file an opposition then?
Well, I think I missed the deadline because I can't get down here in time for the 3:40 ticket time. And then I tried to come on one day and it was closed. It was a bad day.
Okay.
So I work from like 5 to 1:30, and then I have to
Right.
pick up my son and drop him off to him. And
Okay.
I can't make it down here in time. I've been trying. Actually had to take a day off work, which I really can't afford.
Right, okay. Sir, do you have a copy of what she filed?
No, I didn't even know.
Yeah, I found it, I ended up coming down last week, Tuesday.
Did you send him a copy?
I put it in the mail.
I didn't get any. I got it. I can look at my mail from weeks and weeks back. I haven't received anything.
But I put it in the mail.
Do you have a, excuse me, do you have a copy for yourself, Ms. Gillespie?
I left it at home.
Well, I guess I'll make a copy for everybody then.
It'll show that I filed it.
I have your financial disclosure form, I just didn't see,
Just one check.
yeah, everybody gets one, because nobody has it.
I left mine at home.
Right, I see that you just filed it.
Yeah, this is the only day I can get down here to do it without it being closed and not being able to get a ticket.
Right, okay. So when we all get the document, we'll all look at it together, okay?
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
All right, this is your financial disclosure form, Ms. Gillespie. You have your income stated, and then since we're talking about student loans today, let's go to page 6. You've listed it under the asset portion, student loan of $22,721.47.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And then you have some, excuse me, things attached to the back of your financial disclosure form
Yeah,
that
this is the,
look like student loan information, but tell us what you have here.
those are the, it says we have to do the paycheck stubs, the last 3 paycheck stubs. Those are my paycheck stubs.
These are your paycheck stubs?
Yeah, the ones that are,
It says a loan.
well, this one's a loan, and then all the ones in the back are the paycheck stubs.
So the first page is what I'm looking at. This
Oh,
is
yeah.
loan?
Yeah, that's the loan.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess they dismissed all my other ones, and this is what's left.
When you were here before, you mentioned something about a private loan.
Yeah, that's it. That's the private loan.
The private loan is what you're talking about, the Navient?
Yeah,
That's the
all
private loan.
yeah. They did all, I guess they did the forgiveness on the federal ones, and this is what's left, the private loan.
Okay. All right, so you were married, let's see, March 27th, 2006, right?
March 24th, 2006.
Oh, okay, I have the 27th.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
so
the
March
24th.
24th. And when did you incur the student loan?
In 2006, 7, and 8. Well, it was like 2000, you had to reply every year. So the first one was like 2006, and the next one was 2007, and then I graduated in 2009. It's like 2 years of schooling.
Okay, and what did you go to school for?
Respiratory therapy, which I can't do since I got injured on the job at UMC.
Okay, and all of this loan was for that, for the
Yeah,
respiratory?
Well, he wasn't working at the time, so we had to get a private loan to help with the expenses.
Now, when you say private loan, that's the Navient,
Yes. The Navient loan. Well,
to
I
pay
guess-
for your living expenses, right?
Yes.
Do you
About-
recall how much of that was used for your living expenses?
Pretty much all of it. Because all my books and stuff were provided by the school through the federal loan.
Okay, and what about your tuition?
Yeah, that was through the federal loans. We did a private one or the Navient one, sorry, just to have money to live off of, because I was the only one that was working.
Okay. And what were you making then?
At that point in time, I believe I was making probably about maybe 18 to 20, I don't remember exactly, an hour.
Okay, $18 to $20 an hour.
Yeah.
And you know what's next? How many hours?
40 hours a week.
Okay. And going to school also.
Yeah, I worked full-time and went to school full-time.
Okay. And your husband wasn't working.
Nope.
Do you know what your living expenses were per month?
I believe the rent was like 1,000. It's been up and down since then. Maybe like 400 to 500 on utilities. Maybe like 400 in food. Yeah. And maybe gas was probably 300 a month, cause I had to, it was all the way on Tropicana and like, what do you call it, eastern area that I had to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had like the cable and HOA, and we had, payday loans and, title loans and stuff that went into the pawn shop that we never got back out, but we were paying on. And then insurances and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly, what the amounts were from back then. But I know there was 2 payday loans and 1 title loan, and my jewelry that was pawned.
Okay, so you were making about $3,100 to $3,500 a month, in that range. And how much do you estimate that you were short to pay your living expenses?
He handled all the money, so I don't really,
Okay.
yeah, I just went to work, went to school, and he was handling all the money.
Okay.
And then there was, medical bills that I got garnished for because the proper paperwork wasn't filled out.
Okay. And so what are you asking the court to do with respect to the Navient?
He should pay half of it since he was, living off of it.
Is that the only issue? Because I don't really see
Yeah.
anything.
That's it,
That's all he has listed.
yes,
Okay.
that's it.
Okay, Mr. Gillespie?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the only thing that I can, in my petition to, that I filed, for the motion, it's clearly stated that I left the marriage in 2007.
No, he didn't. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll get back to you,
Yeah,
okay?
sorry.
She says, in court, when I had representation, she did the same thing she said 2008. She went to school in July of 2007. I had this from the Nevada State Board of Medical Examiners. She went to school at Apollo College in 2007, and she graduated in 4/3/2009. She was issued a license in 5/3/2010, and it expired 6/30/2017, which is known that we were both taking care of our son separately. When she was working, and I just got out of a job, I was taking care of our son. I just wasn't home out of work. There was no child care for my son, and he was a young child.
Mhm.
I left soon thereafter with my son, and then I left soon thereafter with my son. She called the police.
Let me go one step at a time.
Yes, ma'am.
You lived together
Right,
in Las Vegas.
in Las Vegas.
Do you remember the address?
6413 Sundown Heights, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89130.
Okay, and you lived there together with your child, and you moved out when, sir?
I moved out in 2007. I would say spring of 2007.
And where did you go then?
I went to a relative's house. She lived in North Las Vegas. I don't know the exact address, but her name is Shelley Boyd.
Okay,
And there, oh, excuse me.
go ahead.
And that's when we started co-parenting, with me picking up my son. He went to a daycare on Smoke Ranch, and I worked for an agency. And she would drop him off, when she would go to school, and I would pick him up when I got off at 7 p.m. And I would take him with me, and then she would pick him up early in the morning. And this is how we worked the schedule out to this day.
Mhm.
I didn't even know that she took a loan. From what I heard, because we weren't even speaking, we haven't spoke so much to each other since being in this courtroom. So I didn't really know what she was doing.
So you had no knowledge
I
of
had
this?
no knowledge. From what she was saying, she was yelling one time. I thought she went into a loan with her brother, with a third party with her brother that co-signed for a loan for her.
Mhm.
And it was like one conversation, and that was it.
So when the two of you were living at Sundown Heights,
Mhm.
were you handling the bills?
Yeah, I was handling the bills. She would too. We were both handling the bills. She had a bank account at the credit union in which she was the only one on the account.
So when you paid the bills, were you paying it with her income from her
No.
job?
No, no, ma'am. I was, yes, ma'am. I was for like 2 months or 3 months until I left. I was contributing with my income too, whether it was the first 3 months of unemployment or the job that I had prior from Sanders Blasting and Drilling, and I had some agency jobs that I worked. I was a driver. So I was paying the bills, but I was also contributing. When my son was born in 2006, in November, from 2006 to 2000, I'll say March or April of 2007, the relationship had went bad, and I felt that I had to leave the situation. In between those months, from my son's birth until I left, I may have been out of work 3 to 4 months.
Okay. When you were paying the bills,
Yes, ma'am.
was she depositing her paycheck into a joint account that you had access to?
Look, it was her account solely, and it was direct deposit
Okay.
from her job.
Were you paying the bills from her account?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was there a source of income that you didn't connect with her job?
I don't understand the question, ma'am.
So she's saying that she had these student loans and
Right.
she was using it, or you were using it because she said you paid
No,
all the
ma'am,
bills. Well, I'm giving you the basis
Oh,
of
yes,
my
ma'am.
question because you
Yes,
said you didn't understand the question, so I'm trying to back up a little
Okay.
bit. It's a follow-up to her statement
Right.
because she said the husband was taking care of the bills.
Mhm.
We needed the money to live on.
Right.
She was working full-time, right? So I calculated what she told me. She was making about $3,000 to $3,500 a month.
Right.
You say it was direct deposited into her checking account, and then you would pay bills, but she also paid some bills.
Right.
Did you see, was there a source of funds, like a huge deposit, or were there deposits monthly that you could connect with the possibility of a student loan being used to pay for your living expenses?
No, ma'am, I have no knowledge of that. And if I was, like she says, taking care of the bills, I would have noticed that there was that type of deposit into the account, because we both would review the account, or if something needed to be done for my son, she would look at the account, or I would look at the account to see if there's funds. I had no knowledge of any loan ever.
Did you have your own bank account?
When I left the residence, yes. Or when I was there with her,
Mhm.
no, ma'am, because at the time of my thinking, and
So you didn't have your own bank account? And
Yes.
did she just have the bank account then? It was just her?
yes, oh,
Okay.
I had a U.S. bank account. It was U.S. Bank. I can't remember the exact period of time,
Mhm.
but I did have a U.S. bank account because I opened it right around the corner from where we lived at the Albertsons.
Okay. But to your knowledge, no student loan funds were
No
put into
student
that
loans
account?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And we're talking about something that happened 12 years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
So I understand you're giving me your best recall on that.
Yeah, ma'am, Miss Your Honor, I don't have an excuse for everything, my past behavior or anything I've done, but I'm not gonna lie to the court like that.
The information that you gave me on Navient, it doesn't say when the loan originated.
Okay. Can I respond back to some of the statements that he
You
made?
can, but I'd like that question answered first.
Can
All I see is a something dated November 2019. I guess that's the balance.
Yeah, I mean, I can print it out and bring it back.
Well, I actually asked for this a long time
Well, this is all
ago.
that I could get off of their thing, that they told me go there, and this is all that was showing. Like, I tried to look at all the different loans and stuff,
When did you take it out?
and when I was going to school, right when I started school, and he didn't leave the marriage till 2008, August. I was in my, starting my clinicals.
How old was your child when he
2.
left?
Or he's gonna be 2 when he left. And he didn't go to his cousins, he went somewhere in Henderson. I left in the morning to go to work, and he took my son. I didn't know he was gonna leave the house, and I kept trying to call, and for 2 hours I got no response. I called his mom, who lives in another state. She told me to call the police on him. Then he finally called back, and I went and picked up my son. Then he left the state, and he was in Washington. So he was not picking up my son like he says. And then he was homeless for a bit.
Well, custody is resolved. I'm
Yeah.
just trying
No,
to
well, I mean,
find
he
out
was
if
sick.
he lived off of your student loan.
Yes. He did. He knew that we had to get this student loan, because he was in the house till August 2008. We got the loans when I started school.
And where did you deposit the monies?
It went into my bank account,
Okay,
which I don't have anymore. I'm not with that bank anymore.
okay.
And he had knowledge of it, and he was working a lot. He was out of work for a lot longer than what he's saying. And I actually had to pay for him to go to CNA school, because he got fired from the job that he spoke of because he got violent with one of his coworkers.
Are you making payments on this student loan?
I was, until I had to drop down to the $16 an hour job, which I can't afford right now.
Mm.
But yeah, I've been making periodic payments to them. They took my taxes.
And this was for an education that you can't use now?
I got injured at UMC. I had fell twice. The first time I had a neck surgery, and that's when he got violent with me. Right after that, I couldn't even return back to work for like an extra week when I was supposed to. And then the second time, I fell out of a chair in our IV room. I was in charge of the IV room, and the floor is very slippery. And I kept telling them they didn't listen. The chair took off, and I landed like this, and I ended up having a back surgery, and they had to redo my neck.
Did you receive any compensation for these injuries?
We're still fighting it. Like, I had to get retrained. The first one I did, yes, and I paid some of it, and I was trying to I paid like $5,000 to them, and then they said to make $50 payments every month, but I couldn't keep up with it.
And how much did you receive as a result of your compensation?
Like 75. I had to pay car off. I had a water heater that broke. And all these other bills.
$7,500?
Yeah, no, 75,000.
You received $75,000.
Yes. I had a lot of bills to catch up on because I was on my workman's comp for like almost 2 years now, and I had a reduction in pay. So I was borrowing money from people. Then I had to pay the lawyer. And I had to pay my car because they had been in repossession. I had to get it out and then do a payoff on that.
Did you share that money with your husband?
No, he was not in my house anymore. This would just happen within the last 5 years.
I'm trying to understand that you took out student loans to do a job. You were injured on that job.
No, this is a different job. I had 2 jobs. I was a pharmacy technician and a respiratory therapist. And I was doing my main job was the pharmacy technician, and I was doing per diem respiratory therapy.
Okay.
But after I got hurt the first time, I couldn't return back to my job because you can't work at any job when you're on workman's comp. So I lost that job.
That's when I asked you if you got compensated.
After my first injury, I went back to work at UMC. And then the second, they really didn't compensate me for the respiratory therapy.
Who paid you
at
the
all.
$75,000?
The insurance company,
From which?
UMC, where I was a pharmacy technician. not a respiratory therapist.
Where were
I
you
went
the
to school.
respiratory therapist?
I went to school for respiratory therapy, Royal Springs, but I couldn't do it. They wouldn't allow me to work while I was on workman's comp, so I lost that job, because I was only on call and per diem. So I really didn't make any money off of that job, off of that, getting that, going to school.
And what was the total amount you took out?
I believe it was like 40 something.
Yeah, I'd asked you this before, and I really expected
Well,
more detailed information,
This is all that
other
I
than
can-
just a summary page, because I wanted to see when you took the loans out, what they were used for, and I have a summary page that just tells me 2 loan balances.
This is all that I could pull up from their thing, that's all the information, since they, wrote off all the other ones. I couldn't get information on them.
Sir, you had a question, or you wanted to say something?
Yes, ma'am. There's the reason, there's a backstory to the reason why I left. I didn't wanna bring that up, but she has, my opinion, she has a gambling problem, and it's serious. All the money that she's received, and she had, and she got, she has a gambling problem, and I don't know if she seeked help for that. That's why I'm not accusing her of having it right now, but that was the main reason why I left in the first place. And the one other thing, Your Honor, since my son was born, right after I left, she's been getting the tax credit for my son. I never interrupted that. Even when I asked, we need to rotate year and year, she hung the phone up on me, and she never gave me that tax credit. I didn't put it, I think I put it down in my paper, but I was wondering if I can have those years offset, starting with this year for myself.
Can I respond?
Alright, so she's saying you left in 2008 when he was 2?
Yes.
No, ma'am, I left in 2007, and my son was still in diapers, and he was just learning how to walk around.
In any event, you've either been separated for 11 or 12 years.
Yes, ma'am, and I didn't have no knowledge about her settlement, her money, or none of that, because we're like strangers, except for we have a son to share.
Can I respond?
Well, he didn't interrupt you, and so you need to let him talk, okay? So, it's not a tennis match
I
where
know,
the ball
but-
keeps bouncing back and forth, right?
I know,
But he was still talking, and you
Okay,
need to
I'm
let him
sorry.
talk, cause he's quiet over there and he's letting you talk, and I have questions, so I have, a lack of information.
Yep.
It was your burden of proof.
Yeah, but that's all I could get up from their website. That's all that I could access from them.
Okay,
It's-
unfortunately,
it's-
it's not sufficient for the
it's-
court to determine whether or not this was used for living expenses for both of you. You've been separated for 11 to 12 years, and I don't have sufficient evidence to show me when these loans were incurred. Defendant claims no knowledge or use of the loans. The information that you gave me is a 1-page summary. Unfortunately, I cannot tell from that when the loan was incurred, and it was for your education, which you have benefited from to some extent, despite your injuries. So I'm not holding him accountable for the loan. I have a lack of information.
This is all I could pull up from their website. This is all the information that they give me. Like, since there was the other loans were, wrote off, this is all that was coming up. This is all they said to go there.
I do have to divorce you today. Sir,
Yes, ma'am.
you're incompatible in marriage.
Yes, ma'am.
A reconciliation is not possible.
No, not possible.
When did you come to Nevada to make it your home?
1971.
Have you lived here since that time?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it true that you have one minor child of the marriage?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's Jaden, born November 9th, 2006?
Yes, ma'am.
And the two of you have resolved custody?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Who carries medical insurance for him?
I do.
Okay. Do you pay for that?
Yes, ma'am.
How much do you pay for that?
347, and I don't have it but it's Chap VA, and it can be looked up on the internet.
Okay. Is that just for him?
That's for, they don't break down child by child, but that's for my children's medical.
How many children do you have on there?
3 other beside him.
So you got 4 total
Yes, ma'am.
for 347? So you have joint physical custody. Are you following your parenting agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
Well,
May I speak, please? Since.
I was asking you, yeah.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Since the September 11th court date, my son has been in my sole custody since then to this day.
Why is that?
For the last 2 weeks, there was a schedule where she would pick him up and just drop him off at my house, which I'm fine with. I'd rather have my son with me. But he's been with me since, even before the summer, we talked about that before, but since that September 11th court date, he's been with me every day, except for when his mom picks him up from school.
Okay. And how often does she pick him up from school?
She doesn't do that anymore either, and she can explain that better than I can.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Gillespie, are you following the parenting agreement?
yes, and it says that we would work out when I started working, and I was working at 5 in the morning till 1:30 in the afternoon. I would pick him up, and I told, when I first started working, I said I would keep him till like maybe 7 or 8 at night before he had to go to bed,
Okay.
but he would call and say, just bring him over after school. So rather than fight with him and have him tell me that he's not gonna watch my son while I try to work and try to find other jobs, I just agreed with it. And I just started another job this week where I'm on training right now, 7 to 4, and I said I can pick him up after I get off work, and I can drop him off at 6 in the morning, but he doesn't want to agree to that because he says I'm going to mess up his schedule. And then next week I go to a swing shift, and when I'm done training, I'm going to be on graveyard. So
Okay, so you're gonna have
that's
to
why
work together.
it's been crazy like that.
Okay.
And then
All right, and you don't carry medical insurance for the child?
I lost all my insurance. I carried it for since he was 10 until I
Okay.
got injured.
Okay.
I'm the one was the sole provider for my son.
Okay, all right. All right, so dad's carrying medical, I just have to make sure he's covered by medical. And you have a parenting agreement, and you're not currently pregnant?
No.
Okay, do you wish to change your last name
Is there a time frame? I mean, can I
today?
change it today? It have to be changed today?
Yeah.
Well, I just, I guess no, not right at the moment, because I got everything
Okay, okay.
legal right now. And
Right, so as part of your divorce, I can change your last name, but,
I mean, do I have to like go and do all the paperwork and everything like right away? Or, I mean, if I
it's
say
totally
yes,
up to you. Totally up to you.
is there a time frame to do it? Besides, I mean, if I say yes today, does that mean I legally, I'm going back to whatever name I choose?
It would be an order of the court. What you do with that is totally up to you.
Okay, yes, please.
I'm not going to check up on you and see if you
Okay.
actually did it or not.
Okay,
What last name do you want?
Tung,
T?
T-U-N-G,
Okay. All right, so I have to look at child support. You said you have other children, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have other children?
I have an older son.
Okay.
He's of age.
Okay. So the information that you provided me regarding your income is that, sir, you have a VA disability
Yes.
of $2,055 a month gross. I do have to go by your gross. And when you share custody, I have to calculate it based on both of your incomes. So hear me out. The 2,055 you listed as your income times 18% is the statutory formula for one child. Amounts to $370. The amount that you gave me for your income is 2,773 gross. Times 18% is $499. I have to subtract the lower number from the higher number, and the residual amount is $129. Now Dad is also paying for insurance. Now I took the $347 and divided it by 4 children and came up with a per child premium of $86.75. That divided in half, because you each have to pay half, is $43.37. So adding that to the $129, the amount is $172.51. I'm going to round that down, $172.50. That is your child support obligation to the plaintiff.
Can I say, he has, his other child's moms that he lives with, that income.
I don't calculate that. It's based on his income and your income.
And he gets a check also for my son from the VA. I have a letter at home that says
That would have
he
been
gets
important to
money.
bring to me today, but you
Well-
have a lack of evidence. There's no evidence of that. I'm going by your financial disclosure forms, and that's your statutory obligation under Nevada Revised Statute 125B 070
afford
and
that.
Wesley versus Foster and Wright versus Osborne.
Yeah, I can't afford that, making $16 an hour.
I just went by the statute. I'm just applying the law. I'm not making a discretionary decision.
But I can't afford to pay him child support.
Okay.
I make $16 an hour, and it's $10 less than what I used to make, and I've got all these bills still that I have to pay for. And I have my HOA that's trying to foreclose on my house right now. That's under my parents' name, that I have to pay that bill.
Okay. Did I leave anything out? Are there any other issues?
The tax credit,
Right. You have joint, so by law you just alternate that.
He does,
so I can get it, I've never had it, so I can have it this year.
Yes, you can
Thank
have
you,
it.
ma'am.
So what we'll do to make it clear in the order is even and odd years.
Okay.
So if you've been taking it, then he takes it in
21.
for 19 when you file taxes, so you'll get it every odd year. So 19, 21, 23, and you get it every even year.
I have something. He gets, VA disability, he don't have a job to file taxes, and he wasn't paying for my son's insurance. I did for the last 10 years.
I can get the tax credit.
And he
I've already
gets
studied it.
money from the.
Well, you're talking about things that I don't have any evidence on. And I set this for an evidentiary hearing on financials, and you're bringing up things that there's not one thing to support.
he-
So I'm just applying the law. Sir, you need to provide me with a decree of divorce. You can get that form, or we can find that form for you. You need to fill it out. But I find that I have personal and subject matter jurisdiction to restore you to the status of single unmarried persons and restore you your name of Tung, T-U-N-G. And custody has already been worked out. The court just applied the statutory formula for child support, and medical insurance is covered and taxes are covered. So have you filled it out, sir?
No, ma'am, I have it right here, I can fill it out.
Okay, all right, and you can drop it off on the 3rd floor. There's a mailbox up there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. So are there any questions?
No, ma'am.
Do you have any questions, Ms. Tung?
No, because he just, still being screwed by him.
I'm sorry you feel that way.